The class order system of Legion is a brilliant opportunity to nail class identity and drive loads of really good content. Here are 10 things that I would like to see in the system. Number 10. Order versus order competitions. Essentially, these would be non-PvP events which put different orders together in a competition. So for an example, an event happens in the world, members of both orders compete, and a particular order can emerge as being the best. Why is this cool? Well, I love the idea of there being a rivalry between the classes that is encouraged by the actual game mechanics, and I think it would help create a sense of camaraderie between members of a particular class, which is really important to nailing that sort of class hall, class order aesthetic. It could really be anything. For an example, which order does the best job of fighting off a demon invasion in a particular area, or it could be something as trivial as who is better at a jousting tournament. These would be time-limited events which happen in the world, which would hopefully give people something that is both cooperative and competitive to do with other members of their class that's got a bit of a competitive flair to just drive everyone being a team, and you would have some sort of buff or reward or whatever as a reward for your entire order, which really gives that motivation to actually do it. Number 9. Another thing that I would like is scenarios with your champions. This champion system is supposedly like the follower one, but apparently each individual champion is going to matter a lot more. An example was sending them off and then them finding like something in the world, maybe a cave, and then us going in and doing the real content. I like that change over the follower system, and I have no idea whether this is planned, but I think it would be really cool if you could unlock some really rare areas which basically allow you to do a scenario in which you go in with your champions and fight with them. These would be decently challenging, and they would also make use of their slightly better NPC AI to have our champions fulfill the roles of tanks, healers, and DPS. Of course, this would in no way supersede dungeons, but I think it would be a cool little side thing with the champion system. Number 8. Next, class-specific training is a massive thing that they could do. An area full of the most powerful members of a class is just the perfect way to introduce a system that allows people to hone their skills and practice. This way, Blizzard could teach people about some of the more specific elements of their class that they might have overlooked due to, well, how non-existent difficulty seems to be during leveling. How would this be done? Well, a tailored proving ground style thing would probably work. StarCraft 2 has a pretty cool training mode that's a set of 16 different challenges that all require thought and understanding of each race to complete. A similar system that would encourage people to play their class to a more full extent would be lovely to see in the game. I want Blizzard to feel like they can make world and scripted content a little bit harder, and a part of doing that is probably giving people in-game tools to improve that don't involve going and finding some random website. Number 7. Next, I would like hard class quests, and I really love the idea of these class quests which involve a really big challenge that's tailored around the niches of your class. Warlocks had that with the Canrethed Ebonlock encounter, and Hunters have had similar things, albeit maybe a little bit less fancy, with our pet taming challenges. Now I can imagine, say, getting a priest to do some really cool mind control mechanics in one of these class quest encounters, and I think that could be really nice. So essentially this would be a pretty large, souped up set of class quests that are dead hard at launch and come with some rather unique cosmetic rewards. Because they're placed within your class order, it makes sense for them to be some quests which are really designed for the cream of the crop players that of course will get nerfed over time as gear increases. Number 6. Next up, class-based cosmetic stuff. So class-based cosmetic rewards would be placed in the orders as well. I think this is really along the lines of things like, say, the Warlock's Green Fire, so the ability to tweak the color palettes of some spells, or maybe get a class-specific accessory like a Hunter's Quiver. How would you get these? Well, it would be a mix of things. Some of the really high-end iconic stuff would come from the class quests that I just mentioned, but I would have other things which are unlocked with currency from what are essentially daily quests that are based amongst and around your class and are really spread across the entire world. For an example, rogues, they could have assassination contracts to do. Hunters could do some pet taming things. Paladins could be going around cleaning up undead. Lots of things like that which are easy to create with enough sort of locational variety to keep things interesting. So you could really be doing these quests all over the world, and it's just stuff that is really fitting within the fantasy of your class. That's kind of the regular day-to-day work that a paladin would be doing when they're out adventuring. Of course, variety is good, so whatever that currency would be, hopefully it would also be obtained by doing dungeons and other bits of Legion content like raids and PvP. Number 5. I would also love a Dueling Arena. This would essentially be like the Brawlers Guild but for your class, and instead of fighting an NPC, you're fighting other people of your class. People could spectate duels, and I think overall it would just be a nice chill out area. I'd also love it if they would allow you to bet on people, and perhaps even activate some traps that are in the arena to spice things up, but essentially somewhere which is A, practicing area for the PvP players, and B, just a fun random little side activity that is just done for the sake of it because it's inherently enjoyable. Number 4. Now this is a small point, but if we're all banding together based on our class, because of the Alliance and Horde sort of fracturing a little bit, then it makes sense that we are able to communicate with members of the opposite faction, rather than having our class order halls be phased or something like that. Yes, I can see this leading to some problems, but I think if they're going to pull off this class order fantasy, this might be something that they would need to do. Number 3. Next, constant updates. I think that the quest content of the Order should be updated on a consistent basis, so that people have a lot of optional reasons to go there. If possible, visual changes would also be nice, and another powerful driver is putting more cosmetic rewards in these throughout the expansion. That would of course include things that are purchased with currency. Overall, if they are going to be a successful social hub for players of a class, then they will need to have staying power beyond the first few weeks. So having events and things like that would be a good way of doing this, putting new rewards in is another good way, and perhaps having some more of those class challenges that I talked about earlier would be another great way of A, teaching people, and B, giving a new challenge to go out and do. Number 2. Next, personal quests that surround our champions would be a really nice thing to do. Apparently this champion system is a lot more smaller and personal than the follower one. Good, the follower one was kinda rubbish. As well as being able to transmog them and the like, I would like personal quests which are almost similar to the loyalty quests in Mass Effect. In Mass Effect, they did a fantastic job of adding so much more depth and richness to the world and characters, and having the same thing in World of Warcraft, well, I don't think that would be a pretty bad thing. It would take a lot of work, but Blizzard has essentially been making hardly any proper quest content since the completion of patch 6.0, so it wouldn't surprise me if they already had a lot of this stuff already made. Number 1. Next, there's something that I don't really think Blizzard would do, but a way of ranking people within the Order would be sort of cool. Basically, yeah, it's a big sloppy dig measuring contest, but they're always fun on the internet. There are two very different ways of doing this though. You could be a, X rank hunter out of Y in your order, which is a lot more competitive, or the other way of doing it is you could, say, have 10 ranks within your class order, and have things like doing class quests, killing raid bosses, doing PvP, doing dungeons, and things like that, all increase your rank, with the idea of a rank 1 hunter being someone who probably knows their stuff and is most likely a person's main character. Having something like that to act as both a badge of honor and also something that would drive you to actually do things in the game, I think would work out pretty darn well, and maybe there could be even some perks for the slightly higher ranked members of an order. Of course, we are apparently all the leaders of the class order, as in our individual characters are. No idea how it would play in with that, but frankly I think you almost need to throw away the idea of us being the leader of our class order when every other ret paladin is going to be the leader of the order and have a Ashbringer, so it seems like that's almost a non-starter really. So anyway, they are the rough things that I would like to see in the class order system. It's got a lot of potential, and it certainly doesn't seem like Garrison's version 2 is what Blizzard wants to go for. Of course, I really hope they succeed in making these just a great bit of content that drives lots of fun and hopefully a little bit more cosmetic and optional bits of content, which I think we have been in some ways a little bit lacking in. Hopefully they do that. It would certainly make the expansion a lot better as far as I'm concerned, but until then, we're just going to have to wait. Thank you very much for watching the video. Let me know what you would like to see in class orders down in the comments, and I'll see you next time.